were storms on the horizon for the plays that we saw. In R.J. Bartholomew's Eye of the Storm, Richard Holler tells us the first thing you need to do is get rid of preconceived notions of what you consider important. Money, power, possessions. We matter more than we think. Only by losing everything did he discover what was important. He thought of what he was like as a kid when all he wanted to do was sing, dance, write poetry, and to discover true love and friendship with all the tawdry trappings. Richard Holler has a very likable persona, just like Paul Giamatti or Lee Wilkoff, but even though likable can wear after a while. This happened only rarely in Richard Holler's case because of the clever writing of R.J. Bartholomew and the nuanced direction of Janice Goldberg. Many fine points were raised. I give it a happy face minus.
Recently at MoMA, I saw a really great production by Belarus Free Theater called Burning Doors, which dealt with political prisoners of performance artists in Russian jails, and included Maria Alyokina of Pussy Riot. She was one of the group. It was really great. If Belarus Free Theater is ever around again, you should definitely see them. And La Mama always has great things going on. More on Facebook.
Mind the Entertainment has created Whiskey Pants, the Mayor of Williamsburg, a new musical at here, which is this really strange plot where to become the mayor you have to drink everyone under the table, and all the citizens drink. That's all they do. That's the only thing that's important. And his 16-year-old daughter is about to turn, well, his daughter's about to turn 16, and so she's going to have her first drink, and he's so proud because she's having her first drink, but she doesn't want to. She wants to be an artist. And someone comes to town who used to live there, and now all of a sudden it's like they want him to drink, and he doesn't know about that. So what's going to happen? Is she going to be able to escape this drinking community? It's sort of like a weird Iceman cometh. It's confusing at points, but I'm giving it a mixed face plus. More on Facebook.
At Playwright's Horizon, we have The Treasurer, written by Max Posner and directed by David Cromer, and it stars Peter Friedman as a man living in Denver whose aging mom in Albany needs to be moved to an assisted living situation. The guy feels he's going to go to hell because he doesn't love his mom, who abandoned the family when he was 12, but the mom is just so selfish and so incapable of controlling her spending that you have very little sympathy for her, and you feel like, well, if he's going to go to hell for that, I'll be damned too.
I know, it's just like, I mean, well, there are clear-cut villains in this piece, and even when the brothers like say, all right, we'll take over, it's like he's very masochistic, I think. And also,
well, nobody else seems to really want to take care of mom.
And it's weird because there's supposed to be two other brothers, but one of them has a voiceover of a female. So there were some very confusing elements in it. I mean, Peter Friedman's always, and the rest of the cast is wonderful to watch, but
yeah, great acting as usual for New York, but not a good play.
No, even with David Cromer, who was like the most wonderful director, couldn't save this one. Leslie and I went to the historic Fraunces Tavern to see the historic first play ever written in America by a governor, Robert Hunter, based on the 1714 vestment scandals. It's been adapted by S.M. Dale and is directed by Ralph Lewis. We both love this. It's Androboros, the villain of the state. It's a kooky, biting comedy dell'arte style musical that proves real life is aptly stranger than fiction. It's also a lot more fun when produced by the Peculiar Works Project. The vestment scandal upon which the play is based is filled with political satire and protest, and the scheme itself was an outrageous scheme to blame a blasphemous desecration on a political opponent. It's creative, and it's what's more shocking. It's so relevant. It's like they tore today's real headlines, not the fake ones. And the cast is done in this wonderful, crude vaudevillian style. And me and we both love this. Oh my God, I can't talk anymore. Anyway, there's much more on Facebook. Prince of Broadway.
By George Abbott, Lee Adams, Richard Adler, Mac Batt, Robert Benton, Leonard Bernstein, Richard Pike, Bissell, Jerry Bach, Jason Robert Brown, Cy Coleman, etc., etc. Hal Prince is the Prince of Broadway. And this show is like highlights from 16 of the greatest shows he produced as producer and or director. And if you're not expecting like to find out all the secrets of how he got to choose them, if you just want a really, really good time with seeing things that could be showstoppers from 100 different musicals, this is sheer musical heaven. I enjoyed it so much. I know a lot of people are complaining about it, but I think they just were expecting something very different and just couldn't enjoy all the riches that were in front of them.
I agree. I mean, the only thing, because I'm complaining there wasn't even more. I mean, he's done so many things, and they just did his successes. I wish they'd done more of his unsuccesses, too. Like, for instance, there was, he did Flora the Red Vet Menace, and he could have had a quiet thing. And then, I gotta tell you, Chuck Cooper as Kevia was brilliant. I mean,
totally unexpected.
People keep talking about, color blindness. I mean, you can't get more color blindness, and people complaining, oh, well, Alfred Molina wasn't Jewish enough. But you know what? Chuck Cooper actually showed you could have a black Tevye, because people are complaining about that, but my God, if you got the talent, it doesn't matter. And he captured the whole Jewish spirit so well. And oh my God, Emily Skinner, when she did Send in the Clouds, it's like I never heard it before. I mean, every song that Emily Skinner did just put such a fresh spin, and that's just it. Yes, we've seen all these shows before.
And Tony Yazbek did the most incredible tap dancing character dance I've ever seen.
Yeah, I mean, people are complaining because they want to know more about Hal Prince, but you know what? For Hal Prince, it's in his work, and we got to see his work.
And read a book.
And really, you can't get better than that. I mean, my God.
For once, we agree totally.
Oh my God, do we ever? But we're going to be fighting later on. At the paper mill, we had The Honeymooners, with book by Dusty Kay and Bill Noose, music by Stephen Weiner, and lyrics by Peter Mills, has the same bluster and heart that the original television show had. Ralph Cramden gets his BFF Ed Norton to help him write a commercial jingle for their favorite cheese. Alice thinks that it's just another one of Ralph's harebrained schemes. But lo and behold, it looks like this time things are looking up for the Cramdens and Nortons. Even Trixie, Ed's wife, might be getting a break singing and dancing at the El Morocco. But as in the best of old-fashioned musical comedies, which this certainly is, there has to be betrayals and misunderstandings before all is right with the world again. There are lots of winks and nods to musical theater traditions and all the honeymooner shtick, which makes it all the more endearing. The cast is a dream, especially in the dream sequences, which will sweep you away with Josh Bergass's choreography, Jess Goldstein's costumes on Beowulf Forward's set, which recreates the Cramden's Brooklyn apartment and the glittering landscape of Manhattan. Everyone gets a number to showcase their characters and gets a chance to shine. They even managed to make production numbers out of bus drivers, sewer workers, and cheese jingles. There was one out-of-sync note with an added character at the end, which I think took away some of the whimsy, but then it got back on track with just the right sense of schmaltz to put a lump in the throat and a tear in the eye. If you're a fan of the old Honeymooners or corny musicals, then this is the show for you, and you know it's a show for me.
Even I saw a few things at the new Flea Theater. The one I saw, Inanimate, is closed. It was written by Nick Robideau, directed by Courtney Ulrich, and scenic design by Yi Xuan Chen. And it dealt with a young girl who realizes that she's in love with a Dairy Queen sign that she calls D, and he communicates with her. Most people would find this very strange, but there's a very sympathetic worker at Dairy Queen who also has his own sexual identity issues, and they bond really well. Strange play, but very enjoyable, incredibly well acted by the Bats. And Nina and Eva saw something else there that she'll tell you about. I gave it a happy face, by the way.
And also at the new Flea, oh, you have to see their new center. It's fabulous. Anyway, we've got I'm going to massacre this, and I apologize. Nisangu Nijikam's Sinking Ink is an epic play using natural elements of earth, wind, water, and fire, and high school kids to embark on the beginnings of hip-hop and fulfilling one's destiny. In AP English class, Mr. Wright presides over Sweet Tea, who's little but mighty and wants to be an MC, which is the highest order of hip-hop. She is up against her ex-boyfriend Jamal, who is insufferably confident of his unstoppable status of being the top MC of all time. Nobody can outrhyme him. Ice Cold is no slouch in the word department, and he takes pity on Gordon, the new kid, who is hopeless at rhyming, but who desperately wants to be an MC. When Mona Lisa seductively slinks into the classroom, she sets everyone's libido rising. Gordon wants to impress Mona Lisa and help fulfill his dad's destiny to be the ultimate MC. Ice Cold attempts to help Gordon as he's shown potential with his haikus. Sweet Tea also comes to Gordon's aid as she wants to topple Jamal from his egotistical pedestal. Can Gordon overcome his ears and rise to the occasion? Is Gordon's father's faith in him justified? What else does Sweet Tea see in Gordon? Is Jamal truly unbeatable? High above the action is Mother, the supreme syncing of sounds. Everyone has a counterpart in the elements, and they all come together in a most dramatic fashion. Nigel Smith has taken this 3-hour play and put us through the paces with his percussive pacing. Gabriel Quickstep Dionisio's choreography is intricate high energy. The cast is astounding, and their stamina is incredible, because after 3 hours just sitting there, I felt worn out and drained, but exhilarated at the same time. The Flea has christened its new space with everything in sync with the world. I'm giving this a happy face. And at this time, I might show you the opening. I went to the opening of the Flea, so I might show you a little bit of that excitement.
New York Theater Workshop is presenting Mary Jane, written by Amy Herzog, directed by Anne Kaufman. And this is Mary Jane, the title character, played by Carrie Coon, is a mother taking care of a severely disabled, prematurely born 2.5-year-old boy named Alex. We watch her interact with a number of people in her severely restricted life. There's her super, who agrees to look the other way and ignore Mary Jane's removal of window guards. There's a very attentive home care nurse named Sherry, who has become a friend from a year of caring for Alex. And Mary Jane also meets other mothers who have similarly afflicted children. She provides useful information as a sympathetic ear, but as things get worse for her kid, she really has to come to grips with reality and sort of see that, her life might have to change quite radically.
This was so well done and so moving, and I'm just like, you're just quivering through the whole thing, because you're just like, you're feeling so much for this poor woman, and she loves her kid so much, she's trying so hard, and it's such a hopeless situation that she fills with hope.
Yeah, and she's really very inspiring to everyone around her. She's this incredibly good woman. It's almost like the story of a saint in some ways. But, reality does set in, and it's very much about dealing with a very negative reality that no matter how hopeful you are, some things in the outside world are not going to go your way.
And she's facing this, as a single mother, which is even more difficult. And we should say, though, there is one confusing element in this, where her friend, the neighbor, then turns out to be a doctor later on in a double casting.
Yeah,
it wasn't clear.
Poor casting, because it seems to come very quickly on, and even though she's wearing a different coat, a different kind of costume, you still feel it's the same person, because they're both medical, and why is she acting so much less friendly now?
Yeah,
That was tough. That was a bit of an issue.
We're just warning you to switch gears there. But this is an exceptional cast, Amy Herzog.
Yeah, it's incredibly well written, incredibly well directed, and the acting is wonderful. It's a great play, and we agree.
Diana O, with her My Lingerie play, has a lot to chant and rant about as a Korean American with immigrant parents and being proud of her sexuality and ability to shoplift lingerie. This was also co-directed by Orion Stephanie Johnstone with Diana O. This was more like a party than a show, with the audience given many party games to perform with her, playing cymbals and guitar, having one's head shaved on stage, and sing-alongs. And it started us with us writing our thoughts to a question on brown paper bags. Then we got to share them with each other. This one says, because I try my best to love and fully respect all other creatures on this planet, one choice at a time. And Diana talked about her other installations, because this is, I think, her 10th one. Her economic struggles and the loves that got away and broke her heart, but never her spirit. How leaving California and going across the states to an all-female college Smith was liberating, and other tales of her various hijinks. Miss O has this wonderful feathery voice that belies her fierce personality. This was pure escapism from these dreary times. And oh my gosh, it was all lit up like Christmas. So Christmas comes early with this gifted performer. Happy face.
UVX, or LUX, it's actually UVX presented by Lux, is at the Henry de Jure Playhouse at the Abrams Arts Center. And I really wanted to like it because I went on a press junket for it. It mixes live theater with film and audience participation in choosing different parameters for the film. Like the performance I went to, people picked Russian subtitles, changing color, making it a space opera at some point. And it's sort of a parody of a really lousy art film, and with a very controlling fascist entertainment company. There are ushers who are supposed to be people that are controlled by shock boxes on their necks, and there's the fascist police there too. It has a lot of elements, and I wanted to like it more, but I only love this sort of opera at the end, where it's like a space thing and a family drama, and it involves incest and all sorts of horrible things that are fun to be sung. So I'm giving it a mixed, and maybe you'll go with a better group and get a better show.
These are closed at BAM right now, but there's so much going on at BAM. I was there for two things. I was here for the Toad News, which is James Thierry, who was the grandson of Charlie Chaplin, and it's like having Charlie Chaplin back to life again. He is so inventive and clever and does these wonderful things, and he's got this incredible company that helps him. And there was like this aquarium, and someone was underwater forever, and I don't know how they did it, and they had a frog overhead and singing, and it was just incredible. And I love, whenever James Thierry's in town, you have to go see it. And then the other thing I saw was Manuel Cinema doing Mementos Mori, which was like Death is forced to take a holiday because she uses an app to kill people, and she loses her phone to this granddaughter who's trying to protect her grandmother, who plays chess with Death, and Death is very sly and funny, and she's trying to kill some guy in an old-fashioned way with, running him over and with the strangulation. But instead she ends up falling in love with him and decides she had killed this very rude teenager before, so she turns the poor teenager into the Death now, the Grim Reaper, so she could go out and have some fun. So for everything at BAM now, I am giving such a happy face. And check what's going on, because there's always stuff going on, always.
At the Roundabout Theater Company's American Airlines Theater, they have Time in the Conways, written by J.B. Priestley, not seen on Broadway since 1938 when it was a new play, directed by the wonderful Rebecca Teichman. And it's a strange story about, we meet the Conway family right after World War I, and it's very joyful. There's a party going on with charades, and the mother is very young and playful, and her daughters are also quite enchanting and charming, except for Madge, who's a socialist and really kind of annoying. But the youngest daughter, Carol, is like a perfect angel and so wonderful. Then later, right before World War II, we see the family again. It's a much darker time because the economic times are not so good. The mom has been way overspending. People are married unhappily. There's a lot that's really changing. And then the third act, we go back to the beginning and see how things develop that way. It's about time in a way that's very lovely, beautifully staged, incredibly well acted, very old-fashioned play that might be slower for some audiences, but I found it enchanting.
We agree again.
Yeah.
This is, we're saving the climax. Yeah, J.P. Breesley has written a ripping good play that will rip your heart out by the end. It's all about the choices we make, and what we dream of as the future doesn't turn out as planned, or does it? I mean, and Stephen Boyer, whom I love, he plays this nasty little man that's very creepy and kind
Makes you think of Hitler, which is not Stephen Boyer at all.
No, and it's like, you know, he's like, you know, your creepy fate, you know, that you can't escape from. And Gabriel Ebert was just so sweet in this. He's like the older brother that everyone he just tries to pacify everyone, and nobody thinks about his feelings or what
They think of him as a failure because he's not like a big businessman, but he's probably happier than any of them could be.
Except for something sad that happened to him, but he sort of swallowed and like
accepts it.
And he accepts his fate. And, you know, is security in marriage all that wonderful when, you know, you ruin your life for it? I don't know. But I just thought this was just such a wonderful... And, of course, Elizabeth McGovern, seeing her on stage.
Yeah, she's brilliant.
Yes. I mean, she's rather horrible. She's a horrible mother.
Yeah, she's not the great mom she was in the TV show.
Right, but the thing is, you don't realize that until, you know, you see, the thing is, this is like an onion. They peel away layers, you know, you see one thing, you get fooled by first impressions.
But again, it's really a wonderful play, very old-fashioned. You should go. You don't get an opportunity to see this show very often.
I just did the coolest thing ever. I got to go to a seance in Brooklyn at 10 o'clock at night. It was Jason Saran, and he'll put you in the Halloween mood with The Other Side, a psychological seance. We entered a festively decorated apartment with sheer black material and white material hanging from the halls, and butterflies and photographs of past spiritualists, fake and phony, and most of all, Jacob Wax. This actually is very interesting because you learn all about Jacob Wax and Houdini and all, you know, who was going against spiritualism and magic and everything else. And there were all these interesting people there. He made a special cocktail for us. There were hors d'oeuvres. And soon we gathered around sitting on these low cushiony sectionals as he told us all about how during World War I and influenza, we lost 10% of the population. That's why spiritualism was so popular. So he determined who believed in ghosts. We all raised our hand and who the skeptics were. And various audience members shared their own personal interactions with ghosts, myself included. I'll have to tell you about it someday. And after a neat trick with my glasses to demonstrate the powers of the mind to move objects, we went down these very steep stairs to the basement where the seance was set up. We were regaled with astonishing sights, and we got to participate in some mind-boggling tasks. I don't want to give any of it away because seeing is believing, and you simply must see this to believe it. My only suggestion is do not sit next to someone with sharp fingernails because you get so startled that they dig into your fingers. Oh. I mean, at one point I went, ouch! And she was very apologetic, but it's like, you know, it's just so cool. I love this. And then afterwards he did more, you know, we were enjoying ourselves so much that the entire audience went to a bar afterwards. I had to go home and write my reviews and get ready for the show, but I wish I could have stayed longer because I was having the time of my life with death.
Stephen Dietz's Lonely Planet, a story of friendship in a time of crisis, directed by Jonathan Silverstein, is at 42nd Street Theater Road.
For Keene Company.
It's a two-person play with Arnie Burton and Matt McGrath. Even I violently disagreed about it. We'll fight next week, but we don't want to break this week's record of agreeing about things. So try to see it for yourself and see which side you're on. More on Facebook.
Go. Marie Irene Fornes' Mud is about two worthless men fighting over the same woman who's trying to better herself.
Yeah, she is at least trying to educate herself, but this sickening and abusive relationship gets worse and worse by the minute. The performers are very, very good, and the space is very tiny, but they use it really well. I like the play, but it's very depressing, and I don't understand why she would take this guy in. Well, she has such her hands full with this other guy named
But we'll have
Lloyd.
more on Facebook, and we both give it a happy face.
Happy face.
Running out of time, and we filmed it outside. And bells are ringing at musicals tonight is Compton and Green. Music by Jules Stein. Ella, who works at answering service, gets involved with her clients and gangsters and police, and it's really brilliantly done. And you should go see it more on Facebook because we're running out of time here. Master Voices Middle Collegiate Church is doing Of Thee I Sing November 2nd at Carnegie Hall. Barry Lehman Memorial October 28th. Kevin Gear is having his memorial November 6th. And I'll be posting all the memorials and special events that I talk about very fast on the Facebook page. And at 54 below you have Scott Siegel and Bring Back Birdie. That's Beautiful Soup's doing that. And another Richard Skipper celebrates his November 5th at the Laurie Beachman. New Victory is back with their renovated space, and I got a chance to see Oscar Wilde's The Young King. And oh my gosh, it's so good to be back at the New Victory again. And the review is on Facebook page. Looking for something to do on Halloween? Go to Theater for the New City Village Halloween Costume Ball. It's always a lot of fun. Carol Elmich is at La Mama, as is Charles Ludlam and the Czech Marionettes. You can also go to BAM on Halloween for BAM Boo and Boo Kids, and lots going on at the BAM. Mark hated Lowly Planet, and I loved it. Ace, I'm going to be seeing October 26th. And these closed reviews, you can find them on the Facebook page. These are Parody Productions recommendations. Ran out of time to show all the Flea interviews, but someday we'll get to everything. Don't forget to pick up your performing arts inside of the cultural heartbeat of New York City. I rely on it all the time. Next show is November 11th. And don't forget to go to our Facebook page because that's where everything is.